There we go. Well, here we are. Sorry for the delay. Hey, have you wondered how the law of attraction ties into relationships? How to find, develop, and maintain a healthy relationship using the law of attraction? I'm Paul McKinley, and I'm here to help you realize your better life by teaching you about this little thing called the law of attraction. Today's topic, the law of attraction in relationship. Remember, the law of attraction, whatever you put energy into gets bigger. Whatever you put energy into increases. Now here's the first point. The great irony in life is that you cannot have a healthy relationship until you don't need it. Think about that. When you need a relationship, you're coming to it from a point of neediness. The point here is that you have to be healthy yourself first. Then you can be in the right vibration to have a healthy relationship. When you come to a relationship and you are not yourself whole, then the relationship is also not going to be whole. And there's going to be problems that result from that. For one thing, you can't expect another person to make you whole. The only person in the world that can do that is yourself. So you have to work on getting yourself whole first. Then you can bring your wholeness to the relationship. Also, when you're whole, you're not going to be grabbing onto other people to try to fulfill yourself. Yes, that doesn't mean that you don't enjoy relationships with other people or that you don't want that. It doesn't mean that you don't want a relationship. It just means you don't need it. You can get by without it. One of the most difficult things that I had to learn before I could have a healthy relationship is I had to get comfortable with the idea that I would be by myself the rest of my life. I had to learn how to be alone without being lonely. And only when I got to that point could I then attract and recognize what could be a healthy relationship with another. And I'm happy to say I celebrated my 30th anniversary earlier this year. So here's the great irony in life. You cannot have a healthy relationship until you don't need it. Isn't that odd? As I say, you have to become whole yourself. You have to become comfortable with yourself and not be looking for someone else to fill this missing place in yourself, because they can never do that. Another person can never do something that has to do with you for you. You have to do it yourself. Now here's the next thing, and this is what a large part of what I attribute having a relationship that lasts 30 years or more, and that is the second rule in the rules of the Spirit, which is grace. Now I define grace as being the willingness to allow beingness. The willingness to allow beingness. It means that I know that I'm going to allow the other person the space to be who they are. If I don't love who they are, even with the warts, I'm not really loving them, am I? So I have to be willing to accept them as they are. If I can't accept them as they are, well, it's not really a very healthy relationship. And expecting them to make me happy, nobody can make me happy but me. I am the only one on this earth that can make me happy. You are the only one on this earth that can make you happy, because happiness is always a choice. I used to work with the youth group at a Methodist church in Texas, and the youth would always say, or not always, but oftentimes one of them would say, "I'm bored." I'm bored. And I would always tell them, well, yeah, you can be bored. That's a choice. Boredom is always a choice. And the idea there being that when someone comes up and says, "I'm bored," what they're really saying is, I'm not capable of entertaining myself. I don't have the wit, I don't have the intelligence to find something to think about, to find something to entertain myself with, and I'm expecting you to entertain me. Well, if they came up to me and said, hey, let's play a game or something like that, then, it's okay. Well, I either will choose to play the game with them or not. But it's not them saying, I'm bored. In other words, you are responsible for entertaining me. It doesn't work that way. Yes, boredom is always a choice. If you want to be bored, you can choose to do that. If you want to be occupied with something or find something interesting to do, or find something, if you can't do anything, you're in a body cast in a hospital or something like that, and you can't physically do anything, you always have your mind, and you can always think of something, and you can always entertain yourself with your own thoughts. That's always there to you. As long as you're conscious enough to be bored, you're also conscious enough to think of something interesting to think about. You can't expect another person to make you happy. They just can't do that. And wanting them to be other than who they are is putting energy into things that I don't enjoy much. So, let's see, where did I mean to? I kind of lost my train of thought on that. Wanting them to be other than who they are is putting energy into things I don't enjoy much. Well, if I'm not liking who a person is, they're doing something that I don't like. Now, that's not to say that I can't set boundaries and ask them, please don't do that anymore. But the fact of the matter is that I can't expect them to just mold themselves into something that's going to please me in every minute. And as long as I'm putting energy into them, expecting them to do exactly what I want, I'm kind of being a bit of a tyrant. Well, if I expect them to do what I want, what about me doing what they want too? I'm not always going to do what they want to do. So that's where I'm putting energy into that which is not going to really support me. Finally, forgiveness. We're all human and we all make mistakes. Now, if I carry the hurts forward, in a relationship, there's going to be things that happen. Sometimes you step on somebody's toes. Sometimes somebody steps on your toes, either figuratively or literally. And if I hold on to that hurt, if I hold on to that whatever it was that happened, I'm putting energy into the hurt. I keep going back to this. Oh, you did this. At a certain point in time, I'm not forgiving that particular incident. Then I'm putting energy into that incident, and it's just going to make it be more. It may not be from that person. It may be someone else that evidences something similar to that. And it may be that it just manifests itself in, things happening that you don't like. I'm putting a lot of energy into this generic thing that I don't like. Therefore, I create lots of generic things that I don't like. So that's why we have to learn to forgive. Now, once again, that doesn't mean you don't set boundaries. If somebody is, if you're in a intimate relationship and your partner is, has infidelity issues, it's up to you to decide, am I willing to accept the infidelity? And that's, for some people, that's a possibility. For other people, they can't tolerate that infidelity. And so at that point, it's like, okay, if this is how it's going to be, then we have to part ways. Now, it's painful to part ways, but sometimes that's what it takes to set and maintain the boundaries. And what I've found is that when the relationship gets to the point where the boundaries are continually being violated, well, maybe that's not such a good relationship. And out of my own self-respect, I need to do something about that so that I can be open to a relationship that is more fulfilling. There was a song that was, If She Would Have Been Faithful, and I've forgotten what the group is now that did that. It's in my Energy of Forgiveness workshop. And the singer, the voice, the first person in the song, the guy realizes, he kind of, after a number of years, he starts thinking about this relationship that he'd had where there'd been an infidelity issue and the relationship dissolved as a result of that. And he started thinking about it, and he realized that, hey, if I hadn't let go of that relationship, which was a dysfunctional relationship, I would not have been open to the new relationship that I've had for years, where I've experienced real love. I think that's one of the lyrics. If she hadn't have been faithful, then I wouldn't have known real love. I wouldn't have been open to the really healthy relationship. And the singer actually says, I ought to thank her. I'm grateful that the person did the things that they did to cause the relationship to dissolve, because that opened me up to the new relationship. Doesn't mean as soon as something that happens that you don't like in a relationship that you dissolve it, but it does mean that you can set boundaries. And I suppose as with everything, you need to be ready to let go of it if necessary, in order to be open to something that's going to be healthy and functional rather than unhealthy and dysfunctional. I think that's it for today, and we'll go for next week. I'm looking at doing videos twice a week instead of once a week, but I haven't quite got there yet. And also, I apologize if there's an issue with the audio. I'm still working on getting my audio down pat so that it sounds good, and we'll get those things straightened out with time. But in the meantime, please be patient with my technology issues, and we'll make things better and better as time goes on. That's it for this week. I am Paul McKinley, and I'm here to help you realize your better life.